Hey everybody, EchoV here, and it's been a while since Advanced Wars Reboot Camp finally came out. And with the game's release came a few new redesigns for the COs. And regardless of whether or not the changes are good or bad, I'm gonna rate them anyway and give a score for each of them. Anyways, here we go! And of course, we start with Orange Star. And first up is the airport expert himself, Andy. And to begin, I love that he still retains the baggy clothing from the original design, and instead now carries a single wrench instead of two, which, in my opinion, always looked goofy. And I'm glad that Dual Strike finally fixed that and Reboot Camp retained. As for his facial features, while in-game he's still his same old goofy, idiotic self, his facial redesign in the reboot actually makes him look like he actually knows what he's doing and is quite experienced, especially in mechanics. So with that said, Andy gets a decent 7 out of 10 for me. Next up is the Direct Combat Specialist, Max, and his design feels really well proportioned here, honestly. Like, if I see him in real life, I won't think he has some steroid addiction that needs to be checked by a doctor ASAP. And that this is what he naturally looks like. The only thing that's slightly off-putting is his jawline. It looks a little bit too ape-like to me. Pose-wise, it's a decent one. I'll admit, when it comes to drawing a character in the cross-arm pose, I'm pretty mixed about it most of the time, but when it comes to Max, I think it fits him really well. So with that said, just like Andy, he gets a 7 out of 10. Next up is the Infantry Specialist Sammy, and oh dang, I feel like starting with Sammy, it becomes way more obvious that WayForward was in charge with the Reboot Camp, especially when considering their most popular creation. But you know what, that's not important, let's move on. Compared to her previous design, Sammy looks more organized in Reboot Camp. You know, like how her gun's more relaxed for shoulders, her bullet belt is actually wrapped around her waist, unlike her Advanced War 1 design where the belt was sloppily held. I also like that her knee pads pop out more this new redesign, whereas in previous designs, it was just there, I suppose. Her hairs are just a bit too messy though, which is very hilarious coming from me, who often has disheveled hair most of the time. Pose-wise, it's definitely one of her better poses and angles, being a bit more relaxed, since out of the main trio, she's the calmer one. Speaking of trios though, just like her fellow Orange Star COs, she gets a 7 out of 10. I swear, we will get other ratings, I promise. And next, we have the main menu girl and Lady Luck herself, Nell. And what did I tell you about WayForward? Also, Advanced Wars censorship much? Okay, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, in a previous video, I talked about Advanced Wars and its censorship history. And a very prominent feature in that video was the CO design changes. And the reason why I bring this up is because Nell's design in the Reboot Camp is somewhat of a mix between the two, with her blouse being a bit too long and possibly looking sleeveless, and also showing what I think is an undershirt underneath. Also, her coat being changed to a crop top instead. Now, that's not a bad thing, honestly, but she just doesn't look like a commanding officer with her new redesign. Also, where's her teaching stick that she had in the original? Come on, she's still teaching us this new game, so where is it? Also, her shoes look a little weird. I don't know, it's like a weird mix between a pair of heels and typical schoolgirl shoes. But hey, at least her hat finally fits her head properly. As for her pose, it's a typical hands-on hip pose, you know, so As for her rating, Nell sadly gets a low 6 out of 10 for me. I just prefer her previous design more. And for the time being, we have the final Orange Star CO, Hawke, the businessman himself. And there's really not much to say in all honesty, other than that he looks pretty good, especially in a shop where he has this little jig design coin press. It's so adorable. But sadly it's not his official artwork, so 0 out of 10. I'm just kidding, 7 out of 10. And finally, we begin with Blue Moon. Beginning of course with the Winter Furious braggart himself, Olaf. Oops, wrong image. Let me fix that real quick, and there we go. And wow, at first I was a little bit concerned when I decided to go with Advance Wars 2 Olaf instead of his original design, but the more that I think about it, Olaf is just better looking in Advance Wars 2. In the original design where he was just on his chair, he always felt like this weird, cartoony villain to me. Granted, that's what he was in the original game, but he just looked more like a bumbling buffoon more than anything with artwork. But here, especially the reboot design, oh my goodness, he looks incredibly imposing. Like, he's someone you do not want to be the bad side on. While he looks like he's gained a few extra pounds, it kinda makes sense think about it since he's wearing winter clothing, and if anyone knows anything about that, you kinda need to pack a lot of layers. Other than his weird little stilt legs, Olaf looks really good. 9 out of 10. Next for Blue Moon, we have the Indirect Combat Specialist, Grit. And we can finally see his shirt now! Yay! Okay, silly joke aside, other than his hat, which was not a in the original English release but returned Dual Strike, I like his overall design, especially since his pants aren't as baggy as they were, especially his Advance Wars 2 design. I also like that little wheat stick in his mouth, which, along with his facial expression, really adds more to his laid-back personality. As for his pose, unlike the others, Grit's official artwork is drawn from a top-down perspective, which, for me, adds on to express his personality a bit more. Just don't put it with the other artwork since it looks weird. Anyway, my rating for good old Grit here is an 8 out of 10. Okay, I'm never doing that again, I promise. And finally for Blue Moon, we have their own little rich boy, Colin. And I don't know if it's just the art style of the game or something else entirely, but he just looks way too young in this game. Like, he should be in school learning about his nouns, verbs, and all that other stuff, instead of, oh, you know, being left alone to command an army. Oh, so that explains the dossier. Children, am I right? Anyway, Colin, pretty decent design. Just a little too young, but something tells me that was intentional, so a 6 out of 10. And now, we get to the Green Earth COs, starting first with the Air Specialist and Secret Boss, Eagle. And aside from his comically oversized goggles and the lack of the wind-swaying scarf, Eagle's redesign is really amazing. I love both his pose and his expression, which is the perfect combination of cocky, arrogance, and confidence, something Eagle is during the first game. And if it wasn't obvious enough already, Eagle gets the first perfect 10 out of 10. What an amazing CO. And next up is Green Earth's Navy Specialist and former pirate, Drake. And I'm gonna try my best to word this in a way that doesn't cancel me incredibly early on my YouTube channel's lifespan, so let's be real here. Drake was never drawn as the thinnest character in the game. He has always been drawn with a bit of a chubby side to him, but my goodness, I think my biggest problem with this design are his clothes. It's like he sent his clothes to the laundry, but someone messed it up, or was drunk when they were doing it, because 1, his clothes barely fit him, 2, his pants are way too oversized, and 3, why is his tie so incredibly shrunken? It's so dumb, honestly. And it's because of this that Drake sadly gets a 4 out of 10. Look, if his clothes were better sized like in his original artworks, he would have definitely gotten a better score, I'm just saying. So we have the air, and we have the sea. So I see no better finish for Green Earth than finishing up with the land specialist, Jess. And wow, Jess looks really good. While I am a little mixed about her new mohawk hair, since the original pixie cut fits her way better, but I'm going to like it. I just don't like that weird yellow portion. I can't tell if it's a dyed hair or just some weird lighting technique by the artist. As for her uniform, what is it in this game and baggy clothing in general? Jess honestly looks like she's wearing a men's uniform because Green Earth didn't have any for its women commanders. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, of course, it's just how it looks to me. Overall, I would say Jess gets a decent 6 out of 10. Even with her for a giant tank shell pencil. Oh, and Nintendo, please make this a real item. I would buy it. And finally, we get to Gold Comet, starting first with the Emperor himself, Kanbei, and again, what a massive improvement compared to the original design, which, in my opinion, always looked incredibly goofy. I mean, Advance Force 1 Kanbei looks like he's trying to be tough and mighty, but when you defeat him, he turns out to be just another goofball villain. Not really the case, kind of, but that's just how it comes off to me. Anyway, in Reboot Camp, however, Kanbei actually looks like an actual emperor who has real authority and intelligence. And I think that's mostly because of his design being a combination of dual strike and with Advance Force 2 hair. I just wish he got his sword back, but you know what? Sword or not, Kanbei gets a 10 out of 10. Up next is Kanbei's daughter and Fog of War specialist, Sonja, and she finally has her glasses for an English release! Hallelujah! It's been 3,000 years! Okay, drama aside, I actually like Reboot Camp Sonja's design. She has this mix between looking young, as well as being mature and intelligent enough to lead an army. I also love the return for clipboard and pen, something that's been absent since Black Hole Rising, which again showcases her intellect as she's often shown as being the one who does analysis. Sonja gets a 9 out of 10, solely because of the return for glasses. Yes, I'm serious. And finally for Gold Comet, we have the Copter and Infantry Specialist, Sensei. And I really do not like his design one bit. So, you know how Sensei has some wit and sass to his personality? Like, he's old, but he's not someone to underestimate, because if you did, you'd be paying for it because he's a living legend. Sensei's design in Reboot Camp, especially his facial expression, does not evoke that one bit. He just looks old, like he's confused or something, like some weird elderly man just wandering into the battlefield like, eh? What's that, sonny? I don't understand what you're saying because I'm old! No! This is not what Sensei's like! Also, what's his position? Is his backpack weighing him down or something? Someone remove it before he breaks his back or something, please. So yeah, not a fan of Sensei's design, so sadly, he gets a 4 out of 10. Still a good CO though. And last but not least, we have the Black Hole Army. And before we get into the Black Hole COs, we of course need to start with the very first CO of Black Hole, Clone Andy. Not gonna lie, at first, I initially thought that Clone Andy's original design was this video by NCHProdcutions, but nope! Clone Andy's original design is literally just Andy with no real difference. So thank goodness for Reboot Camp actually changing his design. Yeah, sure, changing the path to dark can be seen as lazy to some, but hey, dual strike to the same thing, so it's fair here. Also, Clone's pose is also very different from regular Andy's pose. Whereas regular Andy's pose shows him as this lovable, excitable dork of a kid, Clone here is just ready for destruction. And I bet he even knows what an airport is. Truly diabolical. Anyway, keep Clone Andy away from Order 66, and he's a solid 9 out of 10. And now, we can begin with an OC Black Hole CO with Flak. And he's fine. I mean, he's a big birdie CO who looks like a gorilla, and they kept his physique in their Reboot Camp. So, you know, just fine. So, Flak gets a 6 out of 10. And next for Black Hole is the character that I know a lot of people are excited the most to see, and that is Slash. And being honest, her design's fine, I suppose. I mean, she no longer looks creepy and does look kinda cute, and that's pretty much it. While I do like that her tights have holes in them, her trench coat being 2 colors now, I also like that her hair looks a bit neater compared to her previous appearances, but that's pretty much it. Not really a big fan of Flash's design, so she gets a decent middle ground of 6 out of 10. And next up is Adder, and Adder's design confuses me sometimes. It's like the artist tried to make him appear snake-like, but accidentally made him too malnourished and skeletal as a result. I mean, seriously, I know Adder was always drawn as being incredibly thin compared to the other COs, but please give him better meal portions, my goodness. Well, at least with the reboot camp, Adder's beetles pop out, and his pose really improves his somewhat snaky appearance. So, I don't know, I guess a 7 out of 10 worth. And finally, the penultimate Black Hole CO, Hawke. And dang, I love his design. Hawke really looks like he's tired of being the pawn of someone's game, and is just about ready to take his boss out when the time is right. So I'm really thankful that WayForward retained Hawke's intimidating presence in the redesign, because honestly speaking, aside from Sturm, Hawke is really the only Black Hole CO who actually feels like a threat, especially when compared to his fellow Black Hole COs who kind of feel very comedic sometimes. So with that said, Hawke gets an obvious perfect score of 10 out of 10. And last, but certainly not least, we have the big boss himself, Sturm, and holy gods above, Sturm looks absolutely amazing. While he barely changes much, compared to the other COs, I personally think that's not all that necessary. Just changing his piping color to grey and actually making his neutral pose already intimidating is all you need to improve on something already perfect. And come on guys, do I really have to say it? Okay fine, Sturm obviously gets a perfect 10 out of 10. Easily the best final boss in the entire series by far. Von Bolt can go suck it for all I care. And that's it for this video. Agree or disagree, or maybe your own opinion about the new redesigns in Reboot Camp? Comment below. Link to the artist in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. If it's your birthday today, then happy birthday. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone, be good to each other.